Hi you guys, welcome to our last video in skill 20, radical arithmetic. So we're first going to talk about rules of radical with addition and subtraction. So if I have radicals with the same base, when I add those, I just add the coefficients. So for example, if I had 1 square root b plus 2 square root b, that's the same as 3 square root b's now. If they were not the same bases, then I could not add them. And the same is true with subtraction. Okay, let's go ahead and practice that. When I look at these, 8 and 18 are not the same bases, so I'm going to try to simplify that. 8, if I break it into its prime factors, 2 and 4, 2 and 2, so it's the same as negative 2 times 2 times 2. Remember, I'm grouping things by 2, so it becomes negative 2 square root 2. 18 becomes 2 times 9, 2 times 3 times 3, negative 3 times 3 square root 2. So I have the same bases. These are the same bases, or the same, they're both square root 2, so I can do negative 2 minus 9 is negative 11. Let's go ahead and pause your screen, try this one on your own. Um, 2 and 24, 2 and 12. I did 27, 3 and 9. I'm grouping things by 2. If you have another way to simplify that's easier for you, negative 9 square root 3. These are the same bases, or the same radical, so I can do negative 4 minus 9 is negative 13 square root 3. We can also do that for when we have a variable, so let's take a second to think through that. So let's think about 45, 5 times 15, 5 times 3, so this is 5 times 5 times 3, 20, 2, 10, 2 and 5. There's a z in there, minus 2 times 2 times 5 times z. And I made a mistake here. That should be 3 times 15. I can group things by 2. I end up with a 3, 5z minus 2, 5z. So since what's under the radical is the same, I can just do 3 minus 2, which is 1, 5z. Rules for multiplying radicals. When I multiply two radicals, we can put them under the same radical sign. So let's go ahead and practice that. So this is the same as 15 times 5 times z to the 7th z. I'm going to break down 15, 5, and 3. So this is 3 times 5. I have 7 z's. Oh, I forgot that z, or that 5. I can group things by 2. Out comes a 5, 7 z's, or 4 z's, and then a 3. The same is still true to this idea. I'm going to do 5 square root 2 times square root 14 plus 3 square root 2. 5 square root 28 plus 3 square root 2. Let's try to break down 28. 2, 14, 2, and 7. So 5, 2 times 2 times 7. Ooh, I do not want red. 5 times 2 square root 7 plus 3 square root 2. 10 square root 7 plus 3 square root 2. These are not the same, so I cannot simplify further. Those are different, so I'm going to highlight them different colors. Go ahead and pause the screen, try this one on your own. Okay, you guys tried this one. We get 3 square root 3 square root 14 plus 3 square root 3 square root 6. If I break down 14, that's 7 and 2. So 3 times 7 times 2. If I break down 6, that's 6 and 2. This does not simplify anymore, so that's just a 42. I can pull out a 3 from that. These are different, so that's all I can do. I cannot combine them. Rules for division. If I have a over the square root of b, and that just becomes a b. So that's one of our rules. And then this is another of our rules we'll use. So we're going to keep that in mind. So I cannot have a square root in the denominator. So I'm going to multiply what I would call by a fancy 1, because I know square root of 3 times square root of 3. We can think of this a couple different ways. It's just square root of 9 or just 3. We can think of it as a square and a square root equals 3. Square root of 9 equals 3. Either way, it equals 3. And then my numerator is 7 square root 3. I want you guys to try to do this one on your own. So I'd multiply by a square root 6 over square root 6 equals 6 over 4 square root 6. That's 2 over 3 square root 6. Last type we're going to do is I'm going to first write this as square root 6 over square root 5. We talked about how to get rid of that 6. I'm going to do 6 over 6. So it's square root of 6 over 30. I'm going to think about my 30 broken down into 2 times 15, 3 times 5. So that cannot simplify any further. So that is what it is. I can break this into 2 things. Multiply sorry, this should be 7. So square root of 14 over 7. Think about my 14, 2, and 7. I can't break that down anymore, so that's my final answer.